अऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिल करीम. The topic nowadays we are discussing is leave a legacy, and this has three major components. One is virsa, the other is tarka, and then the wasiyat. We are discussing some of its economic aspects and then mainly the social aspects. But if we were discussing this subject as a sociology, there are many more aspects which can be discussed. We are not discussing it as a major subject of sociology. We are only concentrating on these three aspects, that is, tarka, virasat, and wasiyat. Last time I had left this discussion on this slide, so I'll pick up from there so that we have a continuity. The point which was discussed last time was that some people, some nations, uh, some ummah, you can call them, like American, Native Americans, they recognize the value of maintaining, not only maintaining the older generations, but also ensuring their participation in the social life. They ensure that they not only participate, but they contribute to the family, to the society, to the economy. And most of important of all these is to contribute to their own selves rather than lying as a cabbage or as a vegetable on the bed. They, even in that position, and I had given an example of Dr. Stephen Hawking, completely paralyzed person, he contributed till the last, not only to the economy, to the sociology, but to the science. And he left a legacy in the science, in the field of science, which will be studied for centuries, for coming centuries. And people will particularly remember him when they will migrate from Earth to some other planet. He will be the precursor, like those who discovered America. He has left the legacy in such a way that he has opened the ways of migration to the new land, and the new land will be some new planet. And those who are, I have been repeating it, that those who are in space today, in the race for the new land, new found land, the land which will be found, the next 500 years belong to them. These 500 years don't belong to us, unfortunately, as it appears today. We are not in that race. We are not even in a race properly in the space also. So anyway, they ensure these two things. But what is behind that? I'll discuss that a bit of philosophy, sociology, why Quran has said and emphasized these things. There's another example of Japan, and for me, Japan is the, I think, most important example of connecting the past into extending the perspective of the past into the future through the present. And 5 generations in Japan, they live under one roof. Uh, Grandparents, great grandparents, grandparents, parents, children, and their children. 5 generations living in, and it's not just by accident. In fact, the movement started and they made a law in 1870 after the revolution. And they protected their family. They protected the patriarchy. And we are dissolving the patriarchy in the LGBTQ movement. This is the first target. They preserved the family, but we have dissolved the family in the LGBTQ. And they have, if I go into the minor detail, they preserved the institution of vilayat, guardianship, wali, wali of the family in their law in 1870, which is called the Civil Code. And today, the result is that in Japan, the rate of divorce is less than 1%. And here it is first marriage about 64%, second marriage about 95%. And those people, and kindly don't believe me, I always request you conduct your own research. And those people who indulge into any relationship before marriage, the rate of breakup is 100%. These are not my figures. Oxford University, Harvard University, and the studies of universities show that here in America, in the West.
Now?
Yes, now my book has been published last year, and the name is The Marriage and its challenges. And nowadays, I have quoted all these figures with references that what is happening today. But still, we are out of our own inferiority complexes influenced by the Western civilization, our culture, or their traditions so much that we don't look back to the Eastern civilization or their traditions. If you don't look at any other religion, if you don't look at the religion, just we look at the economics, Japan is one of the most advanced countries, and look at their way of life. And this family institution is in fact contributing to their industry, to their GDP. The labor discipline, the labor and employer relationship is also supported by the family tradition. The scientists, the economists, they agree that today's Japan's economic contribution, economic development is based on the cohesion of the family model. That is why they are progressing so much. So in Japan, I have not given these details, but I'm just giving you that if you want to see, for example, this is available on the Google, multi-generational share of houses, apartments in Japan. Recently, very encouraging thing I saw in one of the projects here, I'm not naming, just nearby, I went to that, and I found that in the new architecture and the house plan, in some communities, they have included this feature for the older generation. You will find 1 or 2 rooms now incorporated in the plan in such a way that they have accepted that these people also need a room in the house instead of going to the old house. Before that, the step towards this was taken. Before that, the city governments here in most of these states in America, they had allowed, and it is still available. In Texas also it is available, that in your house, in your lawn, and the backside lawn, the backyard, you can construct a one suite, 1 bedroom or 2 bedroom suite with kitchen, with drying, dining, everything, whatever you can do in the space which is available. And they give you permission on fast track. You can build it separately for your old people. And even for your own self, that I'm going to retire tomorrow, my children will replace me in this house, I will need a separate privacy, they'll allow you. They approve the plan on fast track so that you can have like a mobile house, but it is not a mobile house. You can even bring a mobile house and put it there, depending upon the dimensions of your backyard. So this was the first step. Now the second is that within the house, they have incorporated 1 or 2 rooms in such a way. In some projects in communities, I've seen that they save the old people from going to the old house. They remain within.
Mother-in-law's
yes. They can, whatever it is, you can keep it there. Now there are multi-generational houses by law, and the economics now compels them. It is the compulsion of economics also because of the shortage of space in Japan. That these are the references you can find, that they have multi-generational plannings in their economics, in their architecture, in their society. Why these people are doing this? And we ignore this. Quran has given us more than enough guidelines. I pointed out earlier also, but I'm going to refer just to two ayah today in this context. Now, this is just about Japan. You kindly recall that we had started discussion on this ayat. When we started discussion, Leave the Legacy, we had started discussion on this ayat. This is Surah An-Nisa, ayat number 33. This ayat it is multidimensional. It deals with talaq. It deals with so many other aspects. We are not going to discuss that, but I was concerned about this tarka, which is left by the Waldan, and Akrabun. In contrast with this, today I want to discuss this ayat, Surah An-Nisa, same, ayat number 8. Here, word kurba has been used. But before that, the ayat which I've shown, word akrabun has been used. What is the difference? Why Quran is using these two words separately and in a different way? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting our attention. I have discussed this about 2 years back here, this subject of legacy, where the tarka is to be given out of, from the tarka, share has to be taken, for example, by me. There, the condition is that I have to be in the category of akrabun, then I will take the share. But if a share is to be given my tarka, when I die, it can go to the kurba. I can share only as akraba. But when I die, my share, my property, my tarka can be distributed even among the kurba. And I have been emphasizing this. And I had explained this part also. Hazar al-Kismat. Hazar, to be present. Hazar al-Kismat. Kismat means chart. Those who are present on the chart. Those who appear on the chart. When you distribute the tarka, when you distribute the versa, then first of all you prepare the chart. Whether anybody is entitled, whether anybody will get it or not, that is not the question. You just write down everybody which can inherit. Now, in that chart, then you start the process which is called process of elimination. The nearest eliminates the farthest. The akraba, they eliminate the kurba. Eliminate the akraba, they eliminate the kurba. I'm just trying to simplify. In this process, for example, we find that the person who has died, he had children, son, daughter, then they eliminate many other relations. But in the Hazar al-Kismat, in the chart which we have prepared, those people have appeared. They are there. For example, general view which is about the grandchildren. If the father has died, their father has died. And generally people say they are not entitled. They are entitled in many ways, but let us take through this route. They are entitled. Anybody who has been eliminated in that chart, the chart of eligibility, in that chart, if anybody has been eliminated by the nearest, and now still it appears there, and you feel that they deserve, they need it. But here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't say whether these kurba are needy or not. Needy or not, that is not the question. But still, if you want to restrict it and you feel that they are needy, the grandchildren of your own grandchildren, they may be needy. Cousins, their children, the aunts, the uncles, old people, they did not have any child. My maternal uncle did not have any child. Now these are the people, these are kurba. They can't share from me as akrabun. But now, since they appeared on this chart, they will share as kurba. They have to be given. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأُرْزُقُوهُمْ. It's not just giving them 10 rupees, $10, $100. No. At other place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it is haqqal malum. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, give it them so that it is malum. It is notified. Nobody interferes with their share. Give them so that they can sustain themselves as a means, risk, means of survival, means of living a life. Urzukuhum, urzuku minhu, out of that share, that tarka, which you are living, as I will inherit only as if when I belong to the category of akrabun. But from my share, from my virsa, then it is to be distributed, and Hazar al Kismat is prepared. All the kurba are also entitled. If they don't deserve, you can perhaps close your eyes. But if they deserve, then you must arrange for their urzuku. What is the difference when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that give them food, ta'am, atamahum? What is the difference when Surah Quraysh, Al-Quraysh, atamahum? And what is the difference when urzukuhum? There's a big difference. Means of sustenance. So this was in this if we look into the sociology, we say that there are many ulum sciences in Quran, but we have not prepared any ulums out of Quran except our old generations like Ibn Sina, like Ar-Razi, like Ibn Khaldun. Ibn Khaldun is called the father of sociology, and his entire philosophy is derived from Quran. Ittakhazu. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said into Quran, told the other people also that I have given you my book. Ittakhazu. And we have translated, just cling to it, wrap it tightly. Ittakhazu means derive out of it, take out of it, see what is in it. Ibn Khaldun has derived akhaz from Quran, the sociology, and we have not given him the title. The West, Europe, the West has given him the title, the father of sociology. He derived it from Quran. And we don't derive anything from Quran. We read it only for sawab. That's all. If we read these two ayat together, then this is the philosophy behind Japanese model 1870 law. This is behind the tradition of the Native Americans. This is behind the philosophy of joint family, but we have forgotten it. So now we are coming back to our lecture, which I had for this, but I just wanted to connect it with the last lecture. That is why I went back to these two ayat and mentioned this. We have not discussed the whole of sociology or economics in those ayat, but I've just mentioned with reference to the dimension which pertains to the tarka. Expanding our time perspective from our old generations, if not 5 generations, if not 4 generations, if not 3 generations, at least 1 generation from my parents, if I connect it with this. Expanding our time perspective, here we only bother about what my father has left for me. I'm all the time worried about it. What he will leave for me, he should give me before his death. And people are fighting with him. I've seen many old people whose properties have been taken in one or the other way by their children, and then they've expelled them from their houses. One cannot take anything which is going to qualify as the virsa or tarka after the death. The inheritance opens only at the time of death, not before that. That is all property. Anything that is will become inheritance till the person dies. It depends upon his own will, how he wants to dispose it of. He can dispose it of in any manner what he likes. But people here are being compelled. So anyway, if we are we should not be only concerned about the property, that expanding our time perspective past through the present. Of course, we are living in the present. I've emphasized this point already. through the present into future for the future generations. And I had pointed out as one of the reasons that why there is poverty in the Muslim world so much. There are other communities also they are poor, but in Muslim world, if you analyze it, there are different types of poverty. The abject poverty, we analyze the depth of poverty, chronic poverty, intergenerational poverty. There are different dimensions of the poverty which Muslims are facing today. But one of the dimension is intergenerational poverty. I am poor because my father was poor. My father was poor because my grandfather was poor. I did not work. I have not worked hard to make a legacy, leave a legacy for my children, for my family, for my coming generations. Expanding our time perspective into future is useful for understanding events and issues, the problems of today. If we don't expand the past experience, that is history. If we don't take lesson from history and we don't apply it to the present problems and we don't extend it into the future, we are disconnected people. We are complete. We have a disconnect with our own history. We study history from faith. We don't study history from events. History is not religious. History is secular. Secular meaning of secular is to be worldly. History is worldly. History is of this world. What happened in Japan in Second World War? This is history of this world. Worldly means secular. So history is secular. But we have made history our faith. We have constructed our sects, segments of religion on the basis of faith out of history. This is our dilemma. And to solve the problems of the present, we need to adopt this methodology to derive from the past. Researchers have noted, this is again not my research. I don't know these subjects, but the researchers say that what I have read, they say that sense of history was much greater among ancient peoples than it is today. Muslims, the Quran tells us, takes us back into history of nature. How many of us study Quran as a subject, as a knowledge, as a science, which takes us into the history of nature, natural history, natural phenomena. We don't study it from that point of view. Sense of history was much greater among ancient peoples, and they have given examples. And I'll also give an example from Quran, where Quran invites attention to this ancient part of the history, the natural part of history. People of India, for example, would think in terms of kalpas. I've explained this in my book, Know Your God. What is kalpa? Kalpa is a period of time, yug. It is composed of yug, which consisted of 4,000 million years. I'll explain it from Quran, but I have quoted it from their books also. That what does that mean? They think that when the kalpa is over, this universe is wound up again. And then it is rewound and it again, is reborn. But some people, over a period of time, they came to develop another concept out of it, that one person dies, then he takes another birth, and then after that another birth and another birth. They limited it, but actually the philosophy behind it, that the universe itself, now science says this, theory of Big Bang tells this, theory of Big Crunch tells this, Quran tells this. I'll show you the ayat. But we don't study sciences, natural sciences, from the Quran and from the scripture. It is available in other scriptures also. This ayat, this ayat I have presented here just as an additional ayat to show the background. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that when this is besides Qiyamah, this is besides the concept of our death. Death is something different. Qiyamah is different. And winding up of the universe is a different concept which Quran has also given. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that everything in the universe is written in mathematics, adada. It is written adada, in adad, in numbers. Quran tells this. It is in mathematics. And mathematics gives birth to physics. When the alphabet are arranged in a particular manner, they create a dictionary. They give a meaning. They get a meaning. The word gets a meaning when the alphabet is properly arranged. When these mathematical formula are arranged in a proper manner, in some manner, in certain manner, they start working as physics, as chemistry. Formula for chemistry. It works as a formula in chemistry. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that everything written in adada, it is on the hardest, Loh al-Mahfuz. And it is a Kitabun Mubin, open book. And on the last day, on that day, it will be in my one hand. Entire hard disk will be, every data, all the things will be on it. And at another place, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that it will be wound up like a spring. It will be wound up like the bundle of papers, written papers, 7 heavens, 7 disks, they will be wound up. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in that ayat, Surah 21, ayat 104 tells that I will again rewind it, I will open it up, I will repeat it, I'll close it, I will wind it, and then I will rewind it. The universe will be again recreated. Entire universe. This here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talking about the universe, not our lives, that when we die, He will resurrect us. That is a different scientific process which is mentioned in Quran. This is resurrection of the universe in this ayat. And when we compare this with what the Vedas tell us, the other scriptures tell us there's no difference. The only difference is that they are not preserved in the original word. Therefore, they have erred in the interpretation. In the Bible also, they have erred in the interpretation. But since our Quran is available, preserved in the original word, therefore we have to believe it, and we have to then not believe it blindly. That understand Quran to understand it more. Understand science to understand Quran. Understand Quran to understand science. They support each other. We can understand scripture from so many other sciences which are available. Now here, after this ayat, Quran refers to the periodicity of certain events. For example, monitoring system in the universe. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that in real time, same yom, in the real time, the things are monitored at different places. For example, at one station, it is the information reaches in real time, same yom, which of our reckoning is about 10,000 years. And at another station, this information is transmitted and processed in real time, which of my reckoning is 50,000. There may be, and there must be other stations where the data is being processed. 7 heavens. The distance is millions of light years, and the data is being processed in real time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's kun. It travels, it is implemented in real time. It takes no time. When it is kun, then it starts happening. Yakun is muzarat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says kun, and then it starts working immediately in real time. So these are different concepts of time, nature, history of nature, but we don't go into these. We have taken them into, I don't know in what realms. Some people say we have taken it into the realm of Sufism and then other things, but we have never taken it to the realms of sciences. Babylonian tradition, later adopted by Greeks and then by the Christians also, included concept of great year, which generally refer to 36,000 year cycle, after which history was thought to repeat itself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has invited attention to these things. Egyptian civilization also has a cycle. There is my book, The Hikmat-e-Quran. It's based on my lectures on Radio Pakistan. In that, I've explained what is Sirat al-Mustaqim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I am on Sirat al-Mustaqim. He says about himself, I am on Sirat al-Mustaqim. What concept that means? Quran gives us the concept of time, which is not cyclic. The Egyptian concept at that time was cyclic. With every monarch, when the new monarch came, the cycle of time is restarted. It started again at that time with the new monarch. Anyway, I'm not going into those details which belong to science or sociology, but my point is about the legacy, which we can do. There are such great sweeps of time that individual human events seem insignificant. So how to make them significant? I can make them significant only to the extent I have the power, I have the energy, I have the authority, I have the resources. I can at least try to make it significant to the extent I am leaving the resources for the next generation, for my community, and that is through the legacy. And this is the point which I have been hammering right from the discussion, that leave a legacy to that extent which I can do. But these things, these ulum, they give me the impetus. They give me the drive to do this. Concept of present. What is the concept of present? This kindly recall the ayat which we have discussed. Quran. I'm talking about Quran. What is the concept of present? Scientists have discussed this. I'll explain this through through some latest, most modern sociologists. For example, one scientist says, sociologist says, a philosopher says that present means not the present moment. Yesterday, last week I discussed, we should not live from moment to moment. My moment is not just momentary, that I have taken in breath and I have taken out breath. This is not living. We are just existing. Then what is the difference between an animal and me? My present is not momentary. My present is, according to this theory, and there are many theories, according to this theory, it is at least 200 years. My present, even if I live for 60 years, 70 years, 80 years, but my present constitutes, is spread over 200 years. Whatever life I have got is spread over 200 years. This scientist says that present begins 100 years ago today. On this date, 100 years ago, the present started for me. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I am Mujib. I design and redesign things. When Zakaria alayhi salam made a dua, give me a son, and he placed two impossibilities before God. That my wife is born barren. She is impossible. It is impossible for her to give birth to a child. Now I'm finished. My bone marrow is not able to produce the material which I need for reproduction. But still, I have faith. You are the creator. Give me a son. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that I gave him a basharat. And then when he says that I will make him, I'll give you a son. His name will be Yahya. He will be prophet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him all the attributes before his birth.
اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك يا ربنا تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك. اللهم ادخلنا برحمتك في عبادك الصالحين.
آمين
اخرجنا من ظلمات الجهل والوهم إلى نور العلم. اللهم
آمين
وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما.
آمين
اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون احسنه. اللهم اكفنا
آمين
بحلالك عن حرامك وبطاعتك عن معصيتك وبفضلك عمن
آمين
سواك. اللهم
آمين
بفضلك ورحمتك اعل كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم
آمين
انصر الاسلام وعز المسلمين يا اكرم الاكرمين. Oh
آمين
Allah, spread your mercy upon us, shower us with your blessings, increase our knowledge, grant us forgiveness, and reward us with the company of the prophets in the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, forgive our parents and all our friends and relatives who have passed away. Oh Allah, make their graves guarded from heaven and grant them the Firdaus al-A'la. Oh Allah, we have many of our friends and relatives who are sick. Oh Allah, we have our son Ma'raj, our daughter Aisha Wania, and many others. Oh Allah, grant all of them full and speedy recovery. Oh Allah, guide our children, protect them, and make them righteous. Oh Allah, grant us the power and the ability that we may be grateful for the favor that you have bestowed upon us and our parents, and that we may do righteous deeds that are pleasing to you. Oh Allah, we seek from you all of the good, whether we know it or we don't. And we seek your refuge from all evil, whether we know it or we don't. Oh Allah, we have many of our brethren who are living under oppression and injustice. Oh Allah, heal the trauma, protect their helpless, and grant them lasting peace and prosperity. Oh Allah, we ask you every name you have elected for yourself, that none of us leave this gathering, but his pains have been relieved, his worries have been removed, his debts have been paid, his weakness have been concealed, his sins have been forgiven, and his needs have been fulfilled.